There's too much admin, never-ending initiatives, more and more figures to analyse. Just some of the common complaints in schools. Teachers, it would seem, are sinking beneath a deluge of paperwork. According to some reports, the problem is so serious that teachers are leaving the profession because of the burden of bureaucracy. But you don't hear any of these grumbles at this primary.
So what you're saying is your job's getting easier?
It definitely is, yeah.
So why is everyone griping about all the extra work they've got to do?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
And at this secondary, there's not so much as a post-it note to be seen in front of this head teacher.
Is your desk always as empty as this?
Yes.
Why?
Because this is how I like it to be.
In this programme, we'll be discovering how two schools have helped teachers and in turn improve teaching and learning by clearing up the clutter of administration and dealing with the bother of bureaucracy. Their approach is similar and simple. If there's a lot of administration, then bring in administrators to do it.
I'm trained to do the job that I do. I have an MBA. I have my degree, I'm business background, I'm able to take all of those burdens from teachers who ultimately trained to be teachers, not to be administrators.
The schools are also taking a radical approach to leadership, ensuring that the head teachers remain as educators rather than full-time administrators.
The amount of stuff which comes across my desk is too much for any one person to deal with. There has to be other people in the school who have the skills and the expertise to actually take on some of those roles.
The NASUWT carried out a workload audit in 2008. It concluded that despite the national agreement for a concerted attack on unnecessary paperwork and bureaucratic process, teachers were still getting bogged down in a mire of administration. The most common tasks were classroom displays, filing, analysing figures, typing and photocopying. The union also identified the factors generating excessive work. At the top were lesson planning, teacher assessment system and inspection. The schools we're featuring were already recognising some of these problems and making a big difference to the lives of their teachers. At Westwood College, in Leek in Staffordshire, there's a ratio of one support worker for every 2 teachers. The support team leadership meets once a week.
Hello, my name's Malcolm Clues, I'm the site manager.
I'm Ruth Quip, I'm the finance manager.
I'm Julie Buxton, the office manager.
I'm Clarissa Williams, school business director. I look after everything that does not involve the teachers. So anything that has been removed from teachers, such as examinations, policies, procedures, obviously with their input where required, finances, site management, grounds, IT, all of that comes under my side of management, my teams. The whole point of my role is to take away the bureaucracy from the head teacher and from the teachers so that they are able to focus on the core purpose of teaching and learning.
There isn't anybody that I would say I didn't want to work for or with, because before I was the head secretary, I used to do a lot of the admin tasks for different departments as well, so and that was interesting and you greatly appreciate it. There's no divide, we're all a team, we're all here, the aim of the students.
I did go on a project about 6 years ago called A Learning Edge, where about 6 schools in the area all met, and we found out actually that Westwood was very modern in the way they thought, because we didn't have any differences between support and teaching staff, whereas other schools didn't sit in the same staff rooms and that sort of thing. We've never had that problem.
Everything we do within the school, we hope it makes it easier for the teaching environment. Examples would be by moving the tables, by moving the chairs, by setting things up for the teachers, so that all they've got to do is go in and do the teaching. So that we're doing all the peripheral things, if you like.
Please, on the access building works that we've got going on.
We've now had the water tests and the hygiene tests.
They all came back clear.
And all that's fine now.
Is there a cleaning rota in place for that?
Yes, it should have been built into the new cleaning schedule that we put together. Yeah,
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Where are we up to, Malcolm, with getting the whole school asbestos register updated?
The register is being updated next week.
Looking on is the first head teacher, Miss E.E. Sousmurray. She reigned in the 1920s and 30s and would no doubt be startled by the pace of change at the school, especially since the appointment of Keith Hollins as head teacher in 2004. He took over with a zero tolerance of clutter and disorder, but didn't want to spend all his time sorting and organising.
It's my view that and it was when I became the head and I was the deputy here before, that the head teacher of any school does a lot of tasks that A, they're not trained to do, and B, don't need to do, and C, in doing A and B, it takes you away from your core purpose, which is to produce better outcomes for students, which necessarily involves more learning. And you cannot be in classrooms observing lessons if you are meeting the builder, meeting an accountant and writing a policy. I had the view that there should be a certain model and that you would have a business manager who's a member of the senior leadership team. And one aspect of good leadership is being able to determine who should be in which job, giving them that job and then letting them get on with it.
This is the nerve centre of the systems and procedures and the structures that I have in place on the non-teaching, the support staff side at the college. Before I came to Westwood, I worked as a project officer for the local authority. I worked with the private sector and I had finance background as well, and project management and team and site management. The more that I can remove and my teams can remove from the teaching staff and from the head means that they can focus and get back in making sure that the students are getting the best possible education whilst they're here with us. I think I had a desire to work in a school, had a desire to make a difference, and actually personally I was looking at completing a PGCE and going back in and making a difference within the education of young people as a teacher. However, a stroke of luck or chance drew me into an administrative role within the school. That role has grown. It became from admin officer into school business manager and now into school business director.
While the leadership team is freed from the bigger business, all teachers are given support on the smaller but nonetheless important day-to-day tasks. Sally Hansel was being swamped by after-lesson admin because of her responsibilities as a head of drama and a senior learning mentor, as well as her extra work organising school productions and an annual music festival called Westfest.
This is the filing. Student reports, Westfest, data analysis, careers interview, letters, parent contact list, all student records for absences. And this is what's for going for printing.
Before we had the kind of support that we have now, it was a real push to complete all the letter writing, filing, all the things that Andrea does to help me out now were occupying too much of my time. And the amount of frustration and weariness that produced became impossible to manage. Now I can focus entirely on what I want to do and what I need to do, and I know that I've got the backup and the support that I need from her.
Do you like your work?
Yes, it gives me an insight into the full workings of the school and also a little bit of the students' life, because with being the support staff I don't get to have any personal dealings with the students, so it's nice to think that I'm learning a bit more about the actual what goes on in the school rather than just admin.
Does it make a difference that it is a school rather than, say, an office, a local government, something like that?
It's nice to feel that you make a contribution to the students' well-being whilst they're at school. After all, school is a huge part of their lives, so we try and make it as good an experience as possible.
Can you believe that some teachers claim they've left the profession because of the amount of paperwork?
I can believe it if a school isn't sort of sorting it out the way that we have. We're leading the way in setting these practices in motion, and I think there are some schools where it's still not happening. Here, we have this incredible team of support staff, and when I go to Inset and I tell other people about it, they can't believe it.
Westwood College followed its administrative initiatives by appointing a new head teacher, one free from the red tape of bureaucracy and strategy to concentrate even more on the success of pupils. At least once a week he meets his predecessor, who's now the executive head teacher. The executive role also covers a partner school in a neighbouring town, and at the moment he's also looking after a third secondary which he's helping to turn round.
I'm in a very fortunate position in that some of the aspects of the role of head teacher that I would have to get involved in normally, I don't have to do. And I'm able to focus on what I think is the core purpose, which is teaching and learning.
We have a certain number of functions we have to fulfil. We would have to do them whether we had 6 head teachers or 1. In this system, as Ian just said, Ian is enabled to focus on what actually should be the core purpose of all heads, whilst I do the other things without which teaching and learning would not improve. For example, getting grants in, therefore improving our income, planning the budget.
Can I add a little bit to that? Head teachers need to take a wider view. At the same time, if you're going to improve what goes on in the college, you've almost got to have a tunnel vision as well. One person attempting to do both those roles is very difficult. Keith can take the wider view. He seeks out new strategies and new relationships and introduces us to new schools, which allows us to learn from practice outside of this college.
Leadership is also shared at this school in Cambridgeshire, although here almost everyone gets involved. The Alderman Jacobs Primary in Whittlesea is bigger than most. This is just over half of the school. More than 600 pupils may be a lot to administer as well as teach, but it also means there are more members of staff to take on the workload. By delegating responsibilities and sharing duties, everyone is given a part in running the school. We followed the head teacher on one of her regular tours of the classrooms.
So tell me about your style of leadership, Margaret. What's it all about? You talked about distributive leadership.
Yes, distributed leadership. I'm trying to empower everybody else to do my job, basically. What we try to do here in school is to develop leadership in a whole range of people, and partly it's to do with succession planning, but partly it's to give those people the skills of actually having a leadership role and developing themselves.
But aren't you putting extra burdens on your staff by saying, come and help me do my job?
No, I don't think I am. I think I'm giving them responsibility, and I think I'm giving them a development lesson, really, as it were, so that they're growing and they will apply for promoted posts, sometimes inside the school, sometimes outside the school.
A major move in taking responsibility away from the head's office was the creation of the Change Team, a committee of governors, parents and teachers. It works rather like a royal commission, examining different issues or problems and recommending new policies and solutions. Its role has also expanded into evaluation.
A number of TAs who've actually been attending professional development in this term, or this year in fact, they came out strongest. They really seem to have increased in their confidence, and I think that was a really good sign.